I saw a post on X. The pro disc gamers are like the flat earthers of the gaming world. I think it was the Dalai Lama or maybe Mahatma Gandhi that said the earth isn't flat or round. The earth is fucked. Do you know what? It could have been the Trailer Park Boys now that I come to think of it. But I tell you this, the fight for physical media is actually hurting the one thing about the gaming industry that is good these days. Welcome to highly controversial Of Lies and Rain. Okay, why is it controversial? Because it's digital only. Ooh, the sacrilege. I mean, what a dick I must be for playing this one, eh? So, just to be absolutely crystal clear, this video is going to center around PSVR 2 games specifically. Why? People only care that Sony are going digital only. Okay? They don't care that every other corporation's already digital only. Sony, who's the problem? Because, you know, Sony's held in such high regard by all gamers for some reason. Now, if you're on MetaQuest or Steam VR, then this video doesn't really apply to you because you've already bent over for those corporations. Okay? Now, I know it makes sense with Meta because, you know, it's a standalone device. It's like a mobile phone. Can't really put discs in that. Before any girlfriendless, basement-dwelling, Klingon-speaking nerds come at me in the comments, I already know about all the options you have on PC VR. Okay? But Valve themselves already stated that when you buy through Steam, you're buying a rental of the license to play the game. You're not buying the game itself. Sony going all digital did expose one thing, and that is the complete shitification of the gaming industry due to the corporations that are in power. Now, you might be thinking though that it's only Sony. Sony's only responsible. Trust me, it's all the big major gaming corporations. Now, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Indie developers are carrying the VR market on their backs. They're carrying it like the titans of old. They're carrying it on their backs for all of us. It is a shame that influencers and the followers of those influencers and other gamers repeatedly try to sweep kick it out from under them while they're trying their best to keep the VR industry afloat for us. But this dimension ain't the time or the place for that kind of conversation. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, if there is no indie developers, then there is no industry, period. So, Sony can't even cough online without getting community noted. Which does kind of tickle me a bit, to be fair. I do love seeing corporations being knocked down a peg or two. Gotta love those VR physics. I tell you this, indie developers don't always have it in the budget to include a physical copy of a game. Okay, that's an extra expense that they don't have. Okay, and trust me, AAA studios are not giving you a game like Of Lies and Rain. So when you have the disc jockeys online entering into VR posts saying no disc, no buy when they're talking about indie games, I don't think they realise what they're doing. Sony's PlayStation account on X posted a trailer for RoboQuest VR. Right, very good game. And the trailer got 1 million views. Imagine that, a VR game getting 1 million views. Unfortunately, it was 1 million views for all the wrong reason. The disc jockeys were the ones who inflated that post. Xreal Games finally announced the storefront page for Zero Caliber 2 coming to PlayStation VR 2, and the no disc no crowd people even interjected themselves into that. I mean, I think if you want to attack the big games companies, right? See the big upper echelon $1 million companies like Insomniac Games and Rockstar Games, go for it. I'm with you in that fight, yeah? But attacking small indie devs, What the hell is wrong with gamers? Ah, booyah. Some people out there online, they think that it's because of some type of choice. They think that people want the choice of either owning it physical or owning it digital. It's not about that kind of choice. This is about the choice of owning the game, period. When you buy a digital game, you're buying a license to play the game, almost like permission. It's almost like rental of a property. Okay, you're the tenant who's using the property, if you get my meaning. When you buy a game on a disc, sometimes you have the copy of that game on the disc. Now, if I could somehow save physical media, I would. However, that's not the way the gaming industry is going. So no amount of moaning online is going to change their minds. Okay? Unfortunately as well, Sony seem to be held in the highest regard. Like they're on this massive pedestal. Yeah? So, you know, Steam can go fully digital and they can literally tell everybody that you're owning a license to their game and nobody even batters an eyelid. Sony does it and everybody's saying that's the end of the gaming industry and they're not going to buy any games anymore. Or better yet, Sony did this to me. I don't believe that. I think I'm going to go to PC where it's fully digital anyway. Meanwhile, the digital corpo slaves seem to be happy to goose-step themselves right into their own digital enslavement. There's even some talk online from gamers on social media. They're saying that they don't even want a game going forward because of this. The last thing you want is your favourite hobby to be dictated to you by a corporation. However, it could just be the summer game slump. Every single summer this happens. You know, no game quite grabs your attention like they should. So it could be the summer game slump. And summer's almost gone, and with it, the summer game slump will go with it, and all the other pests of summer, like flies, wasps and cyclists. Now, it might interest some of you out there. I have got a pretty huge discs collection. I've got a physical media collection that spans decades. I've got everything from cartridges to discs, to demo discs, and even the odd collector's edition. Now, it is all locked away in cupboards and drawers and cabinets upstairs in a spare room and not displayed all up the wall of my living room. Why? Because I'm not Steve Carroll from the 40-Year-Old Virgin, that's why. Little tip for anybody that plays of Lies and Rain and they're in these data worlds. Some people find them frustrating, yeah? If you touch the outside of these walls, if you just bump into them, it resets the jump. You can jump forever. A wizard. So, you know when Sony posts something and every one of the disc jockeys get on their case? You think they're listening to your pleas about keeping physical media. All you're doing is raising the algorithm in their favor. Okay? You're inflating their posts. You're feeding the algorithm. You're showing investors that they're still relevant online. You know how good that looks, data collection wise. Stop feeding the algorithm. Interesting side note is in this game, the AI that has taken over is making it rain all the time. Here in the real world, however, data centers need gallons and gallons and gallons of water to keep all of their systems cool. There are a few different methods they could use, but water's the cheapest. When you hear companies talking about water not being a human right anymore and not everybody deserves to drink, you can be happy that when this whole world has been turned into a Mad Max wasteland and there isn't a drop to drink, at least you can be happy that we had AI videos of Donald Trump in a thong ballroom dancing with Mark Zuckerberg while there's fireworks displayed in the sky saying the words, "We love our friend Jeff." AI is their Beelzebul. Representatives of the WEF have stated in the past that due to growing concerns about overpopulation, they need to nullify people with drugs and video games. And they also said that you'll own nothing and you will be happy. And doesn't that sound familiar? Okay, if you're the type of gamer now that's unhappy that you don't own the game that you're playing, imagine a time when you don't even own the console you're playing it on. I'm actually quite sorry to say this, but gamers are actually a disease sometimes. We'll praise developers, even indie developers, for amazing art styles when really it's nothing but asset number 3 that they've slapped on. You know, we'll love the fact that we can talk to developers online in social media, not knowing that it's their online bot account. You know, and we'll often give up all of our personal data. We'll scan our face for online IDs just to be able to access the games console that we've already purchased and already paid for. But what? Just to be bombarded with AI written and AI coded cook slop, corporate cook slop at that. It's no wonder the gaming industry are treating us this way. It's no wonder they're taking away discs and stripping us of our personal freedoms, because we allowed it. We've goose-stepped our way into it. They literally showed us the path and tunneled us in, and we walked there. Why? Just to play video games. I mean, it makes you wonder, doesn't it, why so many games are linear, why so many games hold your hand and tell you which way to go. We ourselves as humans are now literally being led on a linear path straight to where they want us to go. The digital fix is itching, okay? They need to live out multiple different virtual lives because they don't have a real life of their own. Obey and consume. It's funny, isn't it? Most games with a stamina bar, you've got the stamina of a goddamn asthmatic. Well, at least this game gives you an inhaler. Submit to the ascension of the digital god. That's fitting. So my question is, what good is it having a game on a disc if the content on the disc is some soulless, corpo, BlackRock funded and therefore agenda driven pile of crap? So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'll fight for physical media, sure, but first I'm going to fight for independent studios. You know, one of the most curious things to me personally is why gamers hold PlayStation in such high regard, right? Like, why is PlayStation on such a massive pedestal, right? Why can the gaming industry as a whole get away with the most corporate takeover-y type crap, but PlayStation can't? Why does the gaming industry get free passes on everything it does, except PlayStation? Okay, so, you know, it doesn't matter that every single other games console and gaming device on Earth can go digital. That's fine. Nobody bats an eyelid. PlayStation says they want to go fully digital, and people out there are absolutely losing it, right? And it happens in other areas as well. The amount of trolls that I've received from PC VR nerds and MetaQuest babies saying PlayStation VR 2 has nothing but shovelware. Nothing but shovelware. We got like 300 games and only 20 of which is shovelware. Meanwhile, the tens of thousands of shovelware that's on Steam and PC and MetaQuest. In fact, the MetaQuest, games like Batman and Assassin's Creed feel like hidden gems because you got to go searching for them. Sometimes you can put the name of them in the search engine for MetaQuest and it still doesn't find them. Yet it'll find some Gorilla Tag clone very, very easily. And Sony ditching physical media did have one very amusing consequence as far as I'm concerned. I got to witness multiple ponies and multiple Xbox arguing with each other because their corporation doesn't bend you over as much as the other corporation. It's fantastic. So if all of the PlayStation VR 2 gamers don't want to buy digital media anymore, then where does that leave the indie devs who have been supplying us with so many good games over the last 3 years? Are we just going to leave them out to dry? You know, they're already just about keeping their head above water as it is with the sales that we provide for them. Are we just going to abandon them? Did anybody even stop to think about them? So these gamers that are refusing to support indie devs, they don't realize what they're doing, do they? They are literally creeping up stealthily with a broken disc in their hand, ready to slice the throat of the indie devs while whispering in their ears, "I love you and I'll always support you." And I know I said it before, but what good is the game on the disc if the creativity is dead in the first place? What good is the game on the disc if the game has got no soul? Some people hate climbing in VR games. I absolutely love climbing in VR games. Okay, don't get me wrong here. The fight for physical media is important, right? Very important. I do commend every single gamer for fighting against the digital-only future. However, Sony have already stated that they are not going to continue with physical media going forward. They don't really care that you love physical media. They care about their company because they're a corporation. Everybody that's now whining that they're not going to buy games digitally will probably stop caring once Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, because that seems to be the one game that all of the mind control zombies will just run by anyway, regardless of anything. You know, I mean, it still hurts that 400 million was spent on Concord. They could have spent that 400 million on making some flat screen games VR. You know, perhaps that was why there was such a push for live service games from Sony. Perhaps they was hoping that gamers would become hopelessly addicted to a game, so much so that they wouldn't be able to resist all of the rather dystopian measures being put upon us. So I do know the importance of having a physical collection and how important it is to people. It is strange to me how it's not such a problem for other corporations and ecosystems to become fully digital. Why was it Sony that received the backlash? That might be another question that people need to ask themselves. Why did you put Sony on the pedestal? No disc, no buy, no indie devs, no industry. Playing this game feels like how games used to be before big corporations took over the gaming industry.